The mist was an aura of the fantasy with which they were inspired. And suddenly young men flew to them as if from heaven, and stood 2 behind each throne, and 1 behind each chair of state to minister. And then by turns some herald cried out, "Ye kings and princes, wait ye a little while. Your palaces are now being prepared in heaven. Courtiers with a retinue will presently come and conduct you in." They waited and waited until their spirits panted for breath and they were utterly wearied with eager longing. After 3 hours, heaven was opened above their heads, and angels looked down, and having compassion on them said, "Why do you sit so foolish and take an actor's part? They have been playing tricks upon you, and have changed you from men to idols, because you have set your hearts upon the idea that you are to reign with Christ as kings and princes, and are to be ministered unto by the angels. Have you forgotten the Lord's words, that he who would be great in heaven must become a servant? Learn then what is meant by kings and princes, and by reigning with Christ, that it is to be wise and perform uses, for the kingdom of God, which is heaven, is a kingdom of uses. For the Lord loves all, and from love wills good to all, and good is use. And as the Lord does goods or uses mediately through the angels, and in the world through men, therefore to them that perform uses faithfully, he gives the love of use and its reward, which is internal blessedness, and this is eternal happiness. In the heavens as on earth, there is preeminent dominion and boundless wealth, for there are governments and forms of governments, and therefore there are greater and lesser powers and dignities. And those who are in the highest dignity have palaces and courts, which in magnificence and splendor excel the palaces and courts of emperors and kings on earth. And they are surrounded with honor and glory from the number of courtiers, ministers, and attendants, and the splendor of their apparel. But the highest among these are chosen from them whose heart is in the public welfare, and whose bodily senses only are in the grandeur of magnificence for the sake of obedience. And as it is for the public welfare that everyone in the society, as in a common body, shall be of some use, and as every use is from the Lord, and is done by angels and men as if of themselves, it is plain that this is to reign with the Lord. Hearing these words from heaven, the mimic kings and princes descended from their thrones and chairs of state, threw down their scepters, crowns, and robes, and the mist wherein was the aura of fantasy departed from them, and a bright cloud overveiled them, wherein was an aura of wisdom, whereby sanity was restored to their minds. After this, the angel returned to the house of assembly of the wise of the Christian world, and called those to him who had induced on themselves the belief that the joys of heaven and eternal happiness are paradisal delights. He said to them, "Follow me, and I will bring you into paradise, your heaven, that you may enter into the blessedness of your eternal happiness."